My sister-in-law, Veronica, tried to publicly humiliate me at my husband's birthday party after I announced my pregnancy, but it backfired spectacularly. Now she's facing divorce and potentially jail time. I'm Gemma, and I've been married to Elijah for 7 years. I love everything about our marriage, except for one thing. He is related by blood to his sister, Veronica. She is a walking source of negativity in our lives. Don't get me wrong, when we first met, I adored Veronica, but over time, my opinion radically changed. She is incredibly toxic, manipulative, and constantly unhappy. I spent years trying to stay out of her way, knowing what she's capable of. In the past, when Elijah was 17, he dated Veronica's best friend, but they broke up because he felt pressured. When he turned 23, Veronica insisted he get back together with another one of her friends, but he refused. They had a huge fight, and she cried to her parents, demanding that he marry someone who fits her circle. But her parents didn't listen to her. When Elijah and I met, his parents were happy. Veronica, however, constantly showed me cold contempt. She would constantly, for no reason, bring up Elijah's ex-girlfriends, talking about how great they were and advising him to reconnect. It got so strange that even Elijah began to ask her to stop. In response, Veronica would freak out and start mocking me, accusing me of jealousy and saying Elijah shouldn't be with such an insecure woman. When his parents, Mary and Richard, invited us for dinner, Veronica would sometimes deliberately bring one of his exes, claiming she ran into her by accident and had to invite her out of politeness. She also relentlessly stalks my Instagram. My account is public, and I noticed she's the first one to check my stories. If any guy commented on my photo, she would immediately go to Elijah and complain that I was posting inappropriate pictures. Elijah and I just laughed off her accusations. When we decided to move in together, she begged Elijah to break up with me, saying I had too many feminine flaws, and she would find him someone much better. These words honestly hurt me, as I had always been maximally nice to her. As soon as we announced our engagement, Veronica's behavior worsened tenfold. While everyone congratulated us, she remained silent, then abruptly stood up and left the house. Later, she called Elijah, screaming and crying that he didn't respect her since she was the closest person to him and should have known first. Then she sent me a text message that bordered on a threat. "You have to be a good wife to my brother, because before you, I was always the only woman in his life." Honestly, I winced at that message, didn't reply, and left it read. I know it drove her crazy. Veronica demonstrably began to ignore me, but to my surprise, remained involved in all the wedding preparations, dress shopping, bachelorette party. However, she took criticism to a new level, openly expressing dissatisfaction with my decor choices, despite repeated remarks from my future mother-in-law and Elijah. One day, when we were discussing floral arrangements, Veronica overheard us and immediately started ridiculing my choice, declaring that I had no taste, and that's why she wanted her brother to marry someone better. That was my point of no return. I lost it. I yelled at her, stating that I wouldn't tolerate her constant attacks anymore, and I told her she was not invited to our wedding. Veronica gasped, as if she never expected me to dare answer her back. My mother-in-law also got angry at her and fully supported me. Veronica, of course, complained to Elijah, demanding he control his future wife. Elijah firmly replied that he fully supported my decision and that if she didn't apologize, she would remain uninvited. She reluctantly sent me a sincere apology, which I again left unread. I was exhausted and didn't want her drama. In the end, she did come to the wedding because I didn't want her to badmouth us later. Our wedding was in peach and gold, and all guests followed the dress code. Veronica showed up in a black, floor-length gown with a veil, like she was attending a funeral. We were shocked. She walked around telling everyone she was mourning the loss of her brother to another woman. At the reception, Elijah, seeing how uncomfortable I was, confronted her. She tried to play the victim, stating she had the right to wear what she wanted and that I was too controlling. Eventually, Mary and Richard asked her to leave when she refused to stop the scene. It was humiliating, and since that day, I kept my distance from her. When our son Nathan was born, I forbade Veronica from coming near him. She tried to argue, but Elijah and his parents supported me, understanding my reasons. 2 years ago, Veronica had a miscarriage. It was a truly sad moment for everyone. Since we already had Nathan, we decided to be more lenient and invited her over so she could spend time with our son. I must admit, she was surprisingly kind to Nathan. At first, she seemed changed, but over time, she reverted to her old self, constantly complaining about her hard life, former bosses, and friends who ruined everything. I noticed that in her head, she's never wrong. She constantly plays the victim to get people on her side. This year, she decided to marry her boyfriend Liam and didn't invite us. Elijah was shocked, as our relationship had seemingly improved. When we asked her, she stated she couldn't allow me to come because I might overshadow her wedding. I called her to ask why she thought that, and she blurted out that I intentionally wore all black to her wedding, and now she's afraid I'll do the same. I was furious at her manipulative nature. Elijah talked to his parents, and they collectively decided that they would not pay for the wedding and would not attend unless she fixed the situation. Veronica burst into tears and accused me of creating this fiasco. Elijah told her she admitted her own wrongdoing and had no right to point the finger at me. Veronica excused herself. "Your wedding was a long time ago. You should get over it." Later, when Mary and Richard still refused to pay, she apologized to me, begging for forgiveness. I have to admit, Veronica can be very sweet and convincing when she needs something. I forgave her, just wanting to turn the page. Her wedding to Liam went well. We all had fun. But less than 6 months later, Veronica showed up on our doorstep, complaining that their marriage was falling apart. Elijah and I let her stay for a few days. She complained about Liam for hours. They were having trouble conceiving, and Veronica clearly blamed him for everything. I tried to talk to her, but she was convinced it was solely Liam's fault. When she wasn't complaining about her husband, she became obsessed with our life, inventing things that didn't exist. For example, I usually go to the gym in the morning before work. Sometimes, to save time, I take my work clothes with me to shower and change there. Veronica noticed this and started asking strange questions. Why was I showering? Why was I even going to the gym? I explained that I like to maintain my weight and don't like arriving at the office sweaty. She pursed her lips and nodded. Eventually, she and Liam reconciled, and she went home. On the weekend, Elijah and I went to lunch with Mary and Richard. Veronica and Liam were also invited. We left Nathan with a sitter. At lunch, Mary was talking about her friend's divorce after her husband cheated on her. She took half of his assets. Veronica suddenly interrupted her to ask Elijah if we had signed a prenuptial agreement. We stopped eating and stared at her. She was looking directly at Elijah, pretending I wasn't there. Elijah, who is never at a loss for words, answered directly that since we both earn well, we didn't see the point of a prenup. Veronica scoffed and stated that the world is full of cheaters now, and Elijah could be blinded at any moment. I was offended and asked what exactly she was implying. Veronica, without blinking, stated that I was surely meeting someone since I constantly carried a change of clothes with me, and that it was her duty as a sister to warn her brother. I was shocked. Mary and Richard immediately jumped to my defense, yelling at Veronica to stop making things up and mind her own business. Veronica, without losing a second, stated she was just worried about her brother, and then joked, doubting whether Nathan was really Elijah's son since he doesn't look much like him. I literally saw Elijah's face turn red. I had never seen him so angry. He looked Veronica straight in the eye and said that that's why she still wasn't a mother, that she didn't deserve it, and that her child was better off in heaven than with someone like her. Veronica's mouth dropped open in shock. Mary and Richard stared at him in silence. Elijah continued, saying how shameless she was, how she tried to ruin everything because of her worthless life, that she was a loser who did nothing all day while her husband worked. He finished by saying she should worry about her own marriage instead of lecturing us, as she was clearly projecting. Veronica burst into tears and looked at Liam sitting next to her for support. Liam didn't say a word. She jumped up and ran to the restroom. Elijah was boiling with rage. Mary came over to calm him down. I stroked his arm. He apologized to me for his sister's words about Nathan. I nodded, understanding how infuriating she could be. I was glad he publicly defended me, as I had endured enough from Veronica over the years. After he calmed down, he apologized to Liam, but completely ignored Veronica. After that lunch, we completely cut off contact with Veronica. Her behavior was now affecting not just me, but Elijah as well. We blocked her everywhere. Mary and Richard talked to us and agreed that Veronica had gone too far. They saw how their usually calm son lost his temper when Veronica provoked him like that. A year passed without contact with her, and everything was smooth. 2 months ago, I found out I was pregnant. It was a complete surprise. We hadn't planned it. Elijah and I were simply happy. We waited for the right moment to announce the news and decided to do it at Elijah's birthday party. Mary and Richard were hosting a big celebration in their garden in San Diego. Only the closest relatives were invited. Veronica must have found out about it from others and decided to show up. Elijah and I were shocked. Veronica walked over, hugged Elijah, said how much she missed him, and apologized for their last conversation. Elijah took my hand and said she needed to apologize to me, as she had tarnished my honor. Veronica nodded, turned to me, and apologized. She said she had been going to therapy for the past months and realized how wrong it was to humiliate me like that. I didn't believe a word, but I didn't want to be rude, so I just nodded. Mary and Richard came over, assuring us they didn't know about her coming and that if we were uncomfortable, they would kick her out. But Elijah didn't want a scene. We agreed to ignore it. All evening, Veronica was smiling and socializing with everyone. It was very strange. She seemed overly positive, which was completely out of character. But she mentioned therapy, and I decided to give her a chance. When it was time to cut the birthday cake, Elijah made a touching toast about how he considered himself the happiest man on earth, grateful for another year next to me. His words made me blush with joy. I couldn't help but notice that we still loved each other as much as we did at the very beginning. Then, Elijah and I decided to share our exciting news. With radiant smiles, we announced that we were expecting a baby. Everything froze for a moment, then exploded with joy. My mom cried and rushed to hug me. Mary and Richard congratulated us with tears in their eyes. Everyone was happy, guessing if we had already chosen a name. The only stain on this picture was Veronica. She was looking at me with a stunned expression. I thought she just needed time to process, but a second later, her expression changed. She abruptly turned and, looking incredibly angry, left. I worried she would ruin the party again, but I was distracted by the other guests. When it was time for dinner, I stood up to help my mother-in-law, but Mary and my parents insisted I shouldn't lift a finger in my condition. I patiently waited for Elijah to bring me a plate, but then Veronica approached me. She was beaming. In her hands was a plate of food, which she loudly handed to me, stating she personally wanted to serve me because she was so happy about my pregnancy. She even added that she wanted to make amends for her past rudeness. I nodded and graciously accepted the plate. She walked away. I was about to start eating, but fortunately, I noticed shrimp on my plate. My severe shrimp allergy is a well-known fact in our family. I was shocked that Veronica could put them there by mistake. I shook my head in disappointment and was about to go get other food. At that moment, Liam, Veronica's husband, came up to congratulate me. We started talking and he asked why I wasn't eating. I pointed to the shrimp and said Veronica must have made a mistake. Liam immediately took the plate. "Don't worry, dear, I'll eat this. I love shrimp. You go get yourself something else." I smiled, nodded, and walked away. No more than 5 minutes later, Liam started retching and choking over his plate. Everyone stopped eating and stared at him in horror as he tried to get up from his chair. Elijah and Veronica rushed to him. Liam pointed to his plate and then to his throat. Our eyes widened. We realized something was definitely wrong with him because of what he ate. Then, Liam lost consciousness. Veronica rushed to check the plate, and her eyes widened. She turned to me and asked if I had given my plate to her husband. I nodded. In the chaos, someone called an ambulance, and he was rushed to the hospital. Veronica was crying inconsolably, yet she kept throwing angry glances at me. Later, we were informed Liam had been poisoned. My heart nearly stopped. I, unlike others, knew that plate was meant for me. Whatever poison was in it, it was intended for me and my baby. Elijah, Mary, Richard, and my parents didn't know this yet. The police were called to collect food samples as evidence, as no one understood what caused him to lose consciousness. Right now, as I type this, Liam is still recovering in the hospital. Veronica stayed with him. Elijah and I are constantly answering calls from relatives. Mary and Richard are shaken and staying with us, afraid to go home. I'm terrified to tell everyone that the plate was meant for me and that Veronica was the one who served it. If an investigation starts, I'll have to tell the truth. I feel terribly guilty for giving the plate to Liam, but most importantly, I'm now horrified by what Veronica is capable of. She didn't hesitate to try to poison me. I don't want to be near her and won't let her near my children. Am I guilty for giving my plate to Liam and potentially poisoning him? Thank you for the thousands of comments in a few hours. I was typing this, trembling, and couldn't sleep. Despite all your words, I feel responsible for what happened to Liam. I should have just thrown the plate away, but I don't know why I let him take it. I cry thinking something might happen to him. Elijah senses something is wrong and is constantly by my side. He thinks I'm just worried, but doesn't know what I know about his sister. I agree. I need to sit down and talk to everyone calmly. Mary and Richard installed cameras all over the property. Since the party was in the garden, I'm sure they can check and confirm that Veronica was the one who brought me that plate. I will talk to everyone tonight and then update the post. We talked. I am grateful for such in-laws. Since Mary and Richard stayed with us, I sat down with them and Elijah for dinner. I started with a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation. I recounted the events, how Veronica served me the plate with shrimp, and how Liam, unaware, ate it, which led to the poisoning. The shock and disbelief on their faces mirrored my feelings. Mary and Richard exchanged glances. Elijah went from confusion to pure rage. I continued, expressing my fear of Veronica's motives and her previous attempts to harm me. I admitted I hesitated to speak, fearing the consequences. Mary, being pragmatic, immediately suggested checking the security camera footage. Richard agreed, understanding the seriousness. Elijah remained silent, processing the shocking revelation. Viewing the footage left no doubt. The video showed Veronica offering me the plate and the subsequent events. Emotions ran high. Elijah, realizing his sister's malice, struggled to contain his fury. Mary and Richard were appalled that their daughter would do such a thing. We sat in stunned silence, trying to understand why. Following this revelation, My in-laws decided to turn over the evidence to the police, as it is very serious. Then Richard and Elijah plan to meet with Liam as soon as he recovers, as he is the one who should press charges against Veronica. I don't know how Liam will react. I cry every time I think that I allowed him to eat the poison. I can neither sleep nor eat properly. It's been 8 months since my last update. Veronica is currently serving a prison sentence. She was found guilty on all counts. I didn't attend the court sessions, but my in-laws went sometimes. They told us that Veronica confessed in court that she had been jealous of me for years because she never wanted an outsider to marry her brother. She always dreamed that Elijah would marry one of her friends, which is why she tried to harass me when we started dating. When we announced the pregnancy at Elijah's birthday party, she was consumed by jealousy because she was planning to announce her own pregnancy. After her previous miscarriage, she wanted this moment of shining to be hers alone, but she felt we had stolen it from her. According to her, the pregnancy hormones made her so furious that she sprinkled a small amount of rat poison into my food. She confessed that she just wanted me to end up in the hospital and never intended to physically harm me or the baby. She stated that she didn't expect me to give the plate to Liam, and that since I poisoned my brother-in-law myself, I deserved a lighter sentence. Of course, the judge didn't fall for her pleas, and she was sentenced to prison. So she will be out of our lives for a long time. Liam successfully divorced her and is finally free. We've met with him over these months and continue to include him in our family events. I talked to him and apologized endlessly for giving him that plate, but he assured me that it was never my fault. I cried when I heard this because I constantly replayed that moment in my head, wishing I could change everything. I'm glad Liam is okay now. As for Elijah and me, we welcomed a baby girl into our family. Despite the shadows of the past, the arrival of our daughter brought light and warmth into our lives. Our son Nathan is thrilled to be a big brother and showers his sister with love. My parents and in-laws have been with us through all of this, helping us cope with this new chapter of life. Life in San Diego continues, but this time without the poison.